So, um, now that we covered the dark part of this, can we go into more empowering things? How would we all empower the protests going on now that we see with the wisdom we have? Like, also on this day seems to be an amplification of love 100 times if you like link with the thing having to do with it. Which things you can do is either surrender into love and give up all, let go of everything that is not love and like lack, and like fill your whole heart with love and let that open, and let go of all control that's keeping that mostly in the ego. Heart walls, like they're still part of you, and like giving them what they need to transmute and turn into love resilience. The earth seems to be having a pulse that's amplified amount of love currently today, that it's the 6/10/2020, just so you know. And the sun and the galaxy seem to be doing a love pulse, that if we like spend time in meditation connecting to the hearts of the earth, the sun, and the galaxy, it will amplify our love tremendously past blocks and also help the world in protests. Things that protesters, like I see like jobs, like a video game kind of coming out, like the types of people amplifying protests, like love expanders, the protectors, the fortressers, the people that are protecting other people, as well as shielding the protests from psionic influence. The people that go into mind inspiration, thought forms, the positive form of mental influence, into inspiration and creativity and learning how to solve problems. People that have the voice, the charisma, the marketing, the get things out there, the knowledge to reach people. The dreamers, the people that use their dreaming body to dream up another future and bring it to unity, wholeness, to that chess move being brought out forth, as well as joining dream protests and like amassing them and getting them going more and more. And then people are dreaming about protests, and it's having an effect, and it permeates. It'll get people, I feel like protesting today. And yeah, getting things out. What do you guys think of how can we empower the taking back? Because each one of those is a standing wave of people taking back their power in the unseen, from negative systems, from the sacred geometry grids of like circuit boards of energy harvesting, the blocks on places of power that can open up people's ability to evolve in their DNA.
So you say today is a day of power, which is based off of more of like a love flow, which has to do with, I guess, alignments and stuff like that in the stars. But so what other days of power this month do you see that people can use coming up for the rest of the month for whatever, love, manifestation, whatever? Sean?
Okay, thank you for asking that. Well, go ahead and add your things. I'm going to read into that while one of you other guys are talking about how to empower things.
I was going to say, if it's okay if I say something, because I need to jump in my light ship soon and get to my home planet. So I have to leave in a few minutes. But yeah, so regarding the protests, I would say, like, let them be peaceful, right? We don't need violence and looting. It's not, that just makes everything look the way it's not supposed to. So I definitely like see the value in protests. I see the value in rising up. I see the value in people like taking a stand, but I don't see the value in the violence part. That just adds to the chaos of everything that's going on. And
yeah, but there, you have infiltrators that have been very seen, as we all know, in these crowds like Antifa, or might be undercover cops, I don't know, or whatever, whoever they are, being paid to go in these crowds and force them to riot instead of being pro, or like the bricks.
Yeah, the bricks.
Going up everywhere.
Yeah.
We've had them show up here in New Orleans and the New Orleans protest, they're just miraculously show up, and then people catch pictures of the companies or whatever just dropping them off. So yeah, I agree with you, Chris. It should all be peaceful, and who knows, it might have all been peaceful if it wasn't for these paid instigators. It might have all just stayed peaceful from the beginning.
Wouldn't that be like a great awakening too for like for the population actually discovered these things, or even back when the COVID thing was like a big deal. Like I was watching these like videos of like paid people in hospital beds, or like a nurse saying, I really have to pretend that person is sick. Like I don't feel comfortable with that. So like the media did things to like paint a darker picture than it was, or, whatever the case was. It would be so cool and so awesome for all those things to start to come out. Like, oh yeah, I was hired to be blah, blah, blah on something. And those weren't actually body bags with people. They were body bags that had potatoes inside of them or something.
Yeah, right.
We made pretend they were people or mannequins or
They actually bought somebody with a picture of that. Somebody, like a woman was picking up a body shape, and it was just filled with like fruit or whatever the fuck it was.
We don't know. But if all those things start to come out, it'll make people be like, wow, I was like really fooled. And when you fool people, you could fool them a couple of times, right? But the third time, they're wise to you. So like I would like, that would be one of my intentions for like some of the real fake stuff to be exposed. That would really let people awaken to what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That's the problem though, because when people are not getting fooled anymore, that's when they come in with the riots. And when the riots don't work, they're going to come up with something else, whether that be economic collapse or war, or whatever.
Fake alien invasion.
Yeah.
Yeah, fake alien invasion.
All that stuff, yeah.
The melodrama.
That's the problem. And you're right. People are not buying the bull crap as much, and they're not getting fooled as much.
Yeah.
But they still got those tricks of distraction.
But you said something interesting earlier, and I thought about, like how they always tell you that they're going to do something before they do it. And I think, isn't there like a bit of a spiritual law there? Because like, basically like they have to somehow tell you and let you know what they're going to do. Like that's how they manage. Like you always wonder how these bad guys bypass so much. Like why aren't they, karma right away for it or whatever? But it seems like they have to tell you some way, even if they're laughing about it, they'll do it in a really, really sly way, but they'll tell you, they'll let you know what's going to happen or what they're planning on to do. And then when you, obviously give into it after, like all of a sudden, like I think there was a thing where that Fauci guy that does for the States, he said, masks don't work. And then later on, he's like, wear a mask. But then people were still wearing a mask. And in a way, it's like you get into those contracts and agreements. I'm thinking like that's how they get you. It's like tacit contracts and agreements. Well, they say, well, yeah, but we told what was going to happen. And, even though it was like, a little bit like it wasn't exactly out clear, like, this is exactly. And, you agreed to after, like you gave your consent because you just did the he told you. I'm kind of thinking that there's like, that's how they kind of get around, like, and that's also how they contract and put contracts and agreements on us that we don't even know that we got contracted into. I don't know what you guys think about that, but
very slight free will choice that you don't even think of subconsciously. You just give your power away to something,
Yeah, because you did it, and they say, well, that was your consent, even though you were scared and you're not told out. It was not like Bill Gates comes up to you and he says, I plan to vaccinate you. I don't care that like you probably might die, might get sick, and I'm going to put these microchips in you, and I'm going to control you. Are you okay with that? Then of course you'd be like, no, I'm not okay with that. So instead, they go around the table, right? They do it in a way, and then every now and then Bill Gates will say things about, like, he was laughing when they were, I don't know if you guys ever saw that video clip where he's smiling and the guy's like, well, a lot of people would die then, and Bill Gates is like, yeah. You know, he's giving away right there, like, how they really feel. But if you don't catch it, and if you don't pay attention to it later when he says, oh, I care, you know, and then you like have to say, well, yeah, but you gave your free will to do that. So, because he said he cared. And I missed all the other things that he said before that.
Yeah, or they scare you using the tactic, a global tactic or whatever national tactic, to convince you that this is for your safety. So this is necessary.
Yeah, this is for your safety.
So then you
and just because.
Yeah, this is for your, beware of the statement, this is for your own good. Like, no, as soon as you hear that, no, it's not for my own good.
Yeah, and you want to believe them, right? But I guess but I guess maybe there's something that we need to, I mean, I guess be aware of, like when they let you know ahead of time, I guess somehow to, maybe that's when you can do, you know, revoking contracts and agreements, thinking like, you know, like making it clear, you know, stating like maybe in a spiritual court of equity or whatnot, you know, stating clearly that you do not consent to this, this, and that, you know, and that you're not okay with it. And that way you don't get stuck getting put into contracts and agreements just because, you know, when you went to Walmart and they made you stand 6 feet apart because that was the requirement for the store. So you go and you do that. And they said, yeah, see, you know, she or he agreed to this mind control because they did it. And we put the contract and agreement, even though it wasn't exactly a out in the open contract and agreement spiritually, you know, we've got control because they gave it away. And I find for myself sometimes when I state those things clearly, like when I realize what's going on and I clearly state that I'm not okay with certain things, it seems to at least keep them away from me a little longer. So.
Yeah, or we gave you that Illuminati card game that told you everything that we might possibly plan. Like you could have bought it and figured it out yourself. Why didn't, you know, it's your own problem. You didn't do that. Or we created these blockbuster movies that showed you how blah, blah, blah could happen, you know, yeah, whatever it is. It's like a contract that you signed and
yeah, and then when we
it up, and all you have is like little pieces you're trying to put back together. Like, well, here's the contract, and they give it to you like in a bag filled with just the little shredded pieces.
The soft discord, sprinkle in all the little shows and series and whatnot, telling you exactly what they're doing, or exactly how they planning things, or exactly what type of tech is really out there. You know, so.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, I'm gonna say goodbye.
I think it's the second wave.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say goodbye to
That's okay.
I have to go, but continue the conversation.
All right, bye, Chris.
And I'll watch you guys later. Yeah, nice to see you, Lindsay. Nice to see you, Will. Sean, as always.
Yeah, you too, Chris.
Yep. Have a good rest of the show.
Cheers. Okay.
Yeah, it's always nice to see you. Hope, yeah, stay out of trouble out there.
So yeah, like going into that, like ways to empower things. So it goes past the expectations or control of anything that wants to handle the situation's ability to suppress it in peacefulness. Because the riot, you know, the looting and rioting, it's mostly out-of-state people. They aren't going to ransack their own town. So, and then the paid people, you know. Ways to bring clarity to a lot of this that individuals can work on. There is a divide amongst the people and the cops that is understandable. Eventually that will be needed to be brought to the unity in the end result, which will usually be in something that they can both agree on, and like a bunch of like back and forth of them being accountable for things, and the media while they're playing a game on them, they're exposing their hand, and then both the people and the cops eventually, once they turn their, because the media is trying to keep people's righteous anger off of them and the people they're protecting. And like, if they can't make it onto other races and stuff, they'll be like, okay, blame the cops, which they're already having to do, which shows that they're not in control.
Right.
So people can be confident. Eventually it will be like, okay, the media is stealing energy from both the people and the cops. So like, see this, the media as this dynamic in the center, which is the power point, which is the thing that has power over people. That power isn't from them, it's from the people, and which also include the cops, but like the cops also getting their power stolen by a lot of other things. A situation that is forcing them to reclaim their power or suffer. And that as that looks, they get more clarity, more awareness. They start making more rational decisions, do things that expose any negative part of their shadow, and that it eventually clashes until it comes to peace and closeness, where like, oh, there's something that's perpetuating. They even said it today, where I think this cop faction said the media is now vilifying them, and they're aware that the media is against them. So now they're going towards that orientation. So that's an interesting thing. So once they both reclaim their, because it needs the media in order to be pure and not controlling, it needs the dynamic of both the people and whatever you would have the organization of cops be at any given time, or whatever, you know, to maintain their not being a monopoly and doing horrible things that influence elections and our entire culture, which they already are. So them both taking their power back from the media until it shrinks down and they have no more power, and people protesting the media, because that's the only thing you're going to be able to protest to where you're going to have any change at all. Even if you were to protest like government buildings and like they already burned down police offices, that kind of works temporarily and locally, but doesn't work on a mass level. The media.
Yeah, it doesn't, because of the fact, like you said, is they tried the race thing first, but as you can see, the race war thing is not sticking as much. So now they got to throw in, all right, well, everybody hate the cops, and then now you can already see how that play just backfired on them, because now they're gonna have cops, which there are a lot of good ones. There's only, yeah, you know, that organization has long been corrupted throughout the entire world, because they had to put corrupt people in there so they could get away with doing stuff, you know, protect certain pedophiles or celebrities or whatever, you know. But that play is now going to bite them in the butt, and then eventually the cops are going to start going the right way. The good cops are going to are seeing what it is, because now, as you can see, what was it? I think it was in New York or something like that, that one of the chief polices or something, or one of the, I forget what his name is, spoke up about the media hate towards the cops, or the people's hate towards the cop is all bullshit. Because, you know, it's the media that make people,
Right.
you know, people aren't just being randomly shot by a cop as you walk about your day, because that's just retarded.
And
you know,
even
so
Yeah.
I mean, it's all biting them in the butt, and so that's going to steamroll into this thing where it's going to be the people aren't going to fight with the cops aren't going to fight with the people. You can see them trying to push that media try to, and it's not going what they want it to do, so it's going to evolve this thing where now the people and the cops are eventually going to fight the media.
As they see themselves as themselves, and they come with their differences, which is the whole clash. It gets them to reshape their perspective. And like, if you were to see the positive timeline and the negative timeline wants chaos out of order out of chaos. They want to destroy an old, because that's their belief system, to make a new as like problem reaction solution. Oh, here's the solution. They want to control the narrative of what the solutions is. Well, they've been shit with the solutions before. We don't need to listen to that anymore. And it's showing that we're not listening anymore. Their goal, I think, currently, which has been a while, where they're trying to get the UN police force to be called in and be this world police thing, which that's a negative, really dumb chess move with way less accountability. The UN have been have like all these investigations about them for like everywhere they go. There are like all these child trafficking, abuse rings going on, as an example of, and then drug trade, of course.
Yeah, that's why they can't pull it off. That's why they can't pull that world policing UN thing off, because they're being investigated, because everybody knows they're corrupt as shit. Even Europe, I mean, you see Europe one piece at a time is starting to be like, screw you, UN. You've destroyed our countries. Let them be overran by foreigners. And that's a prediction I'll throw out right there, is I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of purging of foreigners outside these European countries down the line, when people start waking up and they start realizing, how the UN has abused them and used them. And you're going to see that UN fall apart. They're never going to pull off that. People are too enlightened and woke, and if they use that move will turn into something positive, to where it's going to, totally blow up in their faces, which is going to eventually lead to the UN collapse.
So then in the positive timelines of what we have to work with, of potentials, it's like, okay, police reform in some way. People are even going into defunding the police, which I'm like interested in seeing how that will go on a local level. It's all about what they replace it with, but that seems to be the thing that the dark is also perpetuating, so that it can get the UN to come in as a thing. But that can be easily undone at a local level, because so many places don't want to do that at all. That didn't even remotely sound like a good idea. Like going back to old investigators, bounty hunters, private, like people hired to by a town to law and order, because it's all about that there's a bunch of people that want to have the monopoly of throwing people in cages and threatening them. And then that is that's essentially for sale by different groups and corporations and things that donate to them. And the collective, and they're the bodyguards. If the bodyguards wake up, the elite have nothing. Which is why they're not wanting that. They want to keep the divide going. They want to perpetuate the fear in both, that they can't ever come together. Big solutions for reaching the heart of the cops, which whatever they've been through, whether they've been bullied and then had to take on that persona, or like in stressful situations want to go towards place of power, whether it be in the negative sense, or if they're actually trying to do good and protect the community, because that's where it should be, because we see there's a need for that type of skill set, but we're not actually hiring the people that want to do that, or having psychological evaluations for psychopaths, or all these things where we allow really stupid people to be in police force, or the training being like way less than any other job you would have to be qualified for, especially if you're wearing a gun. And other countries are doing it way better than the US, and that's the problem a lot of so if we can figure out how to reach the hearts of the cops to where they shine love again and see themselves as people, the whole negative timeline collapses and they have to shift.
That's what's happening, if you ask me. I think that's, that's kind of trickling out there, is, you know, they see themselves more as the individual along with the protesters. They're siding more and more with them than with the people who are the elites, where the orders are all trickling down from. And I think that's going to be one of the great things that I've always thought about is when the people that protect the elites, the people that got the guns start waking up, that these elites pay to protect them or watch over them. Boy, that's going to be a bad day for the elites.
Yeah. I've felt if anyone's watching this and anyone's doing protests, make this spread wide. Here's a big solution I found. Like meditate and go into, like, if you are near protests or even like viewing a protest, you can go into amplifying this from a distance where you're hugging yourself, you're seeing yourself as everyone there in like unity, gaining unity. A lot of this stuff, like seeing a reflection of everything externally in you and then bringing it all to unity and love and wholeness. And it has like a lightness in the heart when that does. And then that releasing righteous anger out of, especially in the liver, right? Any righteous emotion, it needs to exist. It has a reason. Not everything is, all anger is righteous, of course. Some are from wounds too that keep perpetuating, but also in the moment, if it's triggered, there's like righteousness at the core of it, which like wants to bring our attention to something like, oh, maybe like we're actually feeling boxed in from our free will and we're like getting angry, like, oh, get out of my face, stop trying to control me. Even in the spiritual nature, we feel when things are trying to compress down and control us, and we get angry about it. And even into the things that are happening in the culture where we feel no control. If you hold your liver and you give it love, you hug it, you give it what it needs, essentially it boxes in a bunch of trauma and anger into a little box, and it builds up as disease and other stuff. So the best thing to do is to let it open up and then start releasing it in some type of positive, sacred manner, or working out or any type of thing, to where you're merging that with love. So it becomes like this righteous anger plus love equals like, it goes out to resolve whatever you're angry about, whether it be something internally about yourself, the people around, the whole environment, even suppression of limitations on us in our spiritual sense. You let it out, kind of like a ghost, astral, whatever aspect of yourself. It goes out to resolve that thing when it's fully released, and you feel it largely only because it builds up in pressure. Once you release it out, it stops feeling, and you can feel entire love while like releasing it all into like, turn it into something too. You can ask it what it wants to become, like whether it wants to become love, tough love with like influence to have a better behavior. Like if something is negatively incurring on you, you reflect that back in like, oh, love, but like you go into a better behavior. Remember that we're one, we're the same, kind of thing. Or power, a lot of solar plexus stuff, you can transform the negative versions of things into power, magic, the force, all kinds of stuff. Dream protesting, get that going. Go ahead.
Pretty good exercise to use on a day like this, day of love. What other type of future days could people use this month for?
Saturdays. The next one, the 13th, coming up, is a righteous anger day, which is why I was talking about that. So thanks for reminding me.
Okay.
So let out your righteous anger on that day, and like Saturdays, of course, do best with protests. So there seems to be a timing with Earth Mother into that, where she's absolutely strategically influencing this. And then the next Saturday after that, the 20th, goes into motivation. So like motivation still like goes into protests and like motivating people to do what they need to do, which takes them to the next level. Also, all this is solar plexus stuff. And the thing into reaching the cops is enter space of meditation. You can like either see it, anyone that does this, I love you. You can either go to the protest yourself, or you can be at it from a distance and send healing and love and energy from a distance. You can absolutely do this. Get rid of the doubt. It makes it more powerful. It's an actual literal block. You'll feel the doubt, center in on it, and give it love until it releases, and you're like, oh yeah, I can totally do this, and then I'll amplify everything. And there's many other things, but love, the main thing, you want to reach the hearts of the cops. They see you as them, and they want to join the people, and it like builds, and they also change themselves to a better version of them, which is what we're needing to do. So it's about heart walls. You're gonna feel around your heart like a spherical thing that is compressing the heart's love from shining at a fuller level that you've experienced before. You go back to feeling into times you were most happy, compare and contrast, and then feel into the pressure around that as a heart wall. The heart walls will express things you are actually dealing with, programs in your body, the environment, and even other people, and even energy harvesting systems that are like things that are controlling people, take their energy and then use that as authority to put negative blocks on their heart from experiencing love, because that is against what they're trying to control them to do. So you can feel into the heart wall that is expressively reflecting in the cups that are in front of you in a wall symbolically. And you can feel into that heart wall version that's inside you. See it as yourself. Give it size and scale, and kind of feel the heaviness on the heart. And you can even hug yourself, breathe very slowly in and to full pressure in lungs, compress it, hold it, make a star in your heart, like while you're bringing in the energy through the breath, and give it everything it needs, the heart wall, to become whole, to become one again, to not be in separation, to be in fear, all those things. The ways to do that is seeing it as you. It's kind of like transmutation plus letting go. In the letting go, you are merging and kind of surrendering into the version of yourself that's like a cosmic parental figure that has created life throughout the galaxy's version of yourself, or collective. Even if it's not you directly experiencing, you can go back in your link of source, merge with that branch of source that goes all the way back to eventual unity with that branch source. So anyone can do a variation of this, to where you bring yourself into letting go of everything that's not you at the fullest power of that. Feel it release from the heart as it gets lighter, and then go into this expression where you're seeing the heart wall, you're transmuting into what it wants to be. Usually if it's a block to love, as an example, it will usually become resilience in love, to where you get stronger at maintaining it against all negativity. So each wall you come against makes you stronger, like how a chicken pecks out of the egg, or the butterfly gets out. And if it didn't have that, it would not be strong enough to survive. It's making you stronger still in the long run, which is why all this is allowed. But, it's abuse because of the ignorance and all that. So you feel into that thing you transmute, you give it light, you give it transmutation, love, see a star over it, transmute, while also doing this like raising up like a child, bringing into morals. You can even compress time in like a no field to make it go really fast, and faith and trust in your divine parent. Do everything it needs to be able to successfully do this, and get better at it and faster at it each time you do it, to where you feel that cosmic child, the dark energy, which is usually a young spirit or something that has been so abused it hates its own parents, kind of concept. And you give it love, you give it what it needs, you raise it up, you feel it kind of going through that process where you're accepting it, you're forgiving it, non-fear, shame, blame, guilt, all the way up to love and infinite love and being one with everything, to where you feel it raising up to that level where it's morally capable of soaring and being on its own. Because like in the attachment, it is a cry out for help. the wall onto you is of control is a cry out for help. That is, anything that needs control over other people. Don't think they need more power. They are in lack of a sustainable reality, and they're in fear. So like raising it up to where it can fly off on its own. You're raising it up and then letting it go, so it detaches. And as you feel that lightness on the heart and it detaches in the raised form, and you're able to shine love and feel the heart wall disintegrate, wall facing the enemy, your greatest enemy, or whatever, the elites, the cops, in this expression I recommend starting with. Then if you can shine love to them past their heart walls, which you can absolutely transmute in the reflection in you, then they feel love again, and they change their entire behavior, and all the mind control just goes away. And once people come together with them, all this information, truth comes out. The whole concept of an apocalypse is a word that's been fear porned. It really means unveiling of truth, the 2020 vision, to see the shadow that's been holding us back for so long, the thing that's even causing the veil, the blinder. You see, that's the first thing you're going to see, which is why people don't want to undo the veil unless they're ready to take on the fear. So be brave. You can do it. It's fear is an illusion based on what we're feeling, and how we change that perception and flip it into, oh yes, something that's my next greatest challenge, that's going to take me to the new level of light. Get excited about those challenges, those darkness that are going to come up in the future, because once you have that light carrying with you in bravery, you can take on anything. Because if you can release the fear it causes in you, it loses majority of its power, no matter what it is in external. And even to where you flip it back on it, because it tried to encourage your reality bubble, which gives you authority in its reality bubble, to where you can share love and get it to remember it is everyone, and that we don't need to fight each other anymore. We can make a paradise. We can be better.
Sean, I have a question. So for individuals that want to use that in a protest, but let's say they're in a sacred geometry set up city, or they're in a sacred geometry area when they're trying to do that, does that amplify it or decrease it, or do you got to work through the sacred geometry before you're pushing it out?
That's a really good question. In the cities, it's usually been hijacked unless like they're really good grid workers or something. So you'll be working against that wall, and you can feel into the wall. Don't really want to recommend people to go right into the city, because it is dense energy and you will probably be coming up against things that will attack you. So do it if you're confident, but don't be like in big swinging dick syndrome about it, because and you don't want to do it alone. These things, you want to form a collective in the unseen and do it all together in unity. You can absolutely do that. Do not feel bad for like calling on people for help, even in the unseen. That will amplify the shit out of it, and where you aren't the only thing that's being blamed for it, because other people want to do that too, and you can like do a grand chess move for that. So the city will usually be against you, but you can like strategically outside the city, they're a place of power that will work with you if you go to them, and they will start tearing down the city. As people go through it, they're like a hurricane of spiritual reclaiming of their power. So like some of these cities that have already had like these big protests going through, they have busted the crap out of the system. And they're having to reorientate things, which takes a long time for the dark sorcerers and Freemasons to do. But and they don't even always know when it's happened, because their indicators are off, and there's all these things that are shutting down because they steal their power. They didn't earn it.
Right.
But yeah,
would that be the
reflection yourself. Go ahead.
when I was in Nepal, I kind of just remember while you were saying that, like, I know it wasn't like, maybe, I don't know, sacred geometry city. It was more, they had, obviously, like I was saying, there's an energy vortex and ley line there. And I don't know if you remember, I went on to the roof, like they have stone roofs there, so you can have fires on the roof, which is kind of different. But I had a fire, and I tried to do like an auditing, because I noticed energy there, like there was something wrong with it, like it just felt really stuck. And then when I was auditing kind of the whole thing with the coronavirus and whatever was going on overall, like what was causing all this lockdown, and the fire like spat out like you know, I had to jump back. It almost hit me. All the wood shot off and everything, and it shot at me, and it felt like it was like the energy, because it was like, you know, kind of like maybe what Will was saying with the, you know, sacred geometry. It was like things, I guess, like you're saying, things that they don't really like you, trying to fix them, I guess. You know what I mean? Like they don't want you to be doing that. And I kind of felt like when I was doing the fire and this stuff almost hit me, and so then I continued to do it, but like there was a lot of craziness with the fire. Like it was like shooting like bombs of wood everywhere, and like there's like that really, like, you know, that that moment you get in this fire when there is stuff going on, and now you're I guess getting into the, I guess, the dark energy and strong energies, and is that kind of like the same thing, like that you're only, I mean, I was using a fire, but like, you know, is that the kind of same thing that you would get if you try to do that by yourself in a sacred geometry city?
Exactly. Yeah, there will be like spiritual big brother versions of things that are like saddles put over Earth's natural grid. So like they're different grids, and it's like a parasite, but like some of the points are, the nodes are, a lot of the points are overlaid based on a corruption. A lot of the monuments, which actually I'm like testing my clairvoyance vision for the future, and it's like giving me hints about things that'll happen, and pretty much every one of them has come true. So I'm gonna be like, oh, maybe this will be a show, because like one, like, oh, they're gonna start ripping down a lot of monuments, and that's actually a really good thing, because like the slaves, traders of the time, a lot of them are glorified, and there's like a bunch of haunting crap in the statues and made by the Masons to absorb the power from the place of power, and they've dowsed and muscle. You can use muscle testing to find them. There are natural points of power in the cities that are still available for people to open, activate, fortress, turn on. If you trade with them, things, they'll usually want you to unblock them so they can expand more and get to an effect on more people. It'll be in a way that's resilient, because things will be testing it from the negative grid. So there's like a strategy to this, and then the big place of power, they will also be like those big phalluses and parks and some buildings, you know, the court systems, all that will be on those. And yeah, I don't recommend people going right after them, but if you want to dump pee on the, from a distance, that will have a big thing. Just remember to send healing to your water elementals, because they're going to be taking a little bit of a hit. Then they'll get stronger though, and then each time that you go to activate a grid, it'll do that. Or you can do the soup, but like I don't really need to do, I don't want to do something. I want to send armies to the haunted places, and I want to send healers to the sacred places that don't really have to worry about too much protection, but like to open up, and then like natural places.
Right. Never underestimate the power of people. Your urine is severely powerful. It's you know, it's weird, but you know, you store up maybe like a liter of pee, and you do some heavy prayers over that. You know, prayers of neutralizing or neutrality, and go dump it on some sacred site or somewhere that really brings up their grid. Or you can do like a ancestral soup, you know, break out a big tub and put some little strips of beef and, you know, onions or potatoes in there, and just let it simmer and pray over it and pray over it. put some revocations up in that thing, and you know, and or you can add like some spirit in it, some alcohol, you know, and then you just go take some of that and you go dump it, or wherever, ley lines, wherever.
Like
Really,
grid
I
your
realize
house, find
how
the nodes, the chakras, open them up, open the fortress. It's a whole strategy, like Game of Thrones. Make your fortress so that, like, you start working on the grid, you can protect yourself against any blowback, and then you start increasing the fortress, uniting with everyone in the area, place of power.
Yeah.
Talk to the trees. That if you don't know where a place of power is, you can find one that wants to work with you, or with the ancestral soup or urine, whatever, and they will send the elemental armies through their network to the places of power nearby, and they'll slowly activate. You can either have a strategic strategy, like types of place of power you're looking for, like things that work well during the protest, righteous anger ones, action, motivation, love, peace, unity, a bunch of things into the love in the solar plexus. Also getting a lot of dispersal of the fear in the other blocks in the lower chakras, which they've been trying to hold on to, but a lot of the fear has been transmuted, because like, at this point, what do you have to be afraid of? It goes into like so many things we can do to make the timeline better with each one of our actions, and everything that we do regularly, we can add a spiritual aspect to it, such as working out and amplifying how successful the timelines are. If we, as an example, the longer we are able to make this protest last, the more likely the better timeline it will be.
Yeah, right. Well, you know, there's even simpler way for people to, if you want to work with, you know, certain points, sacred points, is, you know, you just walk around a general area and then get yourself a little pendulum and look at the map and do like pendulum parts over the map, and do it like 30 or 40 times, and then you can mark the spots where your body subconsciously, as you walked over those spots, picked up, and it'll remember. It'll remember what sacred spots it walked over, and then you could just go back to those spots and you pour your ancestral soup or your urine all over it and stuff like that, and, you know, really start doing some damage to the system or helping a place or something like that. It's those simple things out there.
Are you walking with the map, or are you bringing the map with you, Will?
Or you could just go walk all over your neighborhood, or you could walk all over this park, or you could walk all over the city, you know, and then then you can have a printout of the map, and then you could just sit down and you could do the little pendulum thing, and
okay.
your energy picked up it's going to tell you where these sacred little spots are that you didn't even realize consciously, you know, and then you just go back to those spots.
Well, and thank you for reminding me. Inside.
Oh, I got a visitor, guys. Oh, hey, don't go. You guys see? Can you guys see him?
Oh yeah.
He's coming over here. I don't know why.
The raccoon. Hey.
Yeah.
Raccoon wisdom.
He wants to be part of this call, I guess. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of animals the last few days. They're visiting me. I've been doing lots of qigong, and they're coming.
Bringing raccoon power, that animal medicine. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I just had to show you guys. He was right there. I was like, oh my god! I didn't even see him walk up. He was just kind of doing the Scooby-Doo.
That's perfect timing, honestly. The raccoon, that's influence. So like any timing things with that could have happened other times. Why during the show? And you can like read into the message behind it and the spiritual anchor into the animals and whatever, and their higher self.
Yeah,
they're like
they're not usually up here.
people can work with the raccoon animal wisdom and use them as a teacher to upgrade them in all types of technology. Pretty much most of what people need, well, a lot of it to get through this time, because they're good at survival, they're good at hunting, they're good at finding things, whatever they need. They got, they're very intelligent. They evolve very quickly, and they're in the cities. They rule a lot of the animals. So
Yeah.
they have a lot of the PowerPoints, so you can call upon their medicine and bring them to empower the protest too, and integrating
Oh,
your
that'd be
inner
cool, yeah.
raccoon. Well timed.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because it's the daytime. Usually the raccoons are more nighttime they come out. So it's kind of weird that he's walking right in the middle of the day. It's only like 4:30 here, so.
And
weird.
that one's a powerful, well, not just the raccoon and the timing and stuff, but like everything that's like going back and forth in time to that moment to influence that raccoon to be there at that moment, is like trading in a school. That people that watching this video, you can work with that raccoon and go through its school. It's way more advanced than just regular raccoons. Like the spiritual entourage around it has got about 1 million raccoon type spirit of advanced beings that I guess people aren't really ready for going into the advanced consciousness type of thing. But it's offering a big gold nugget that most people would love, which is like in the solar plexus of the raccoon power, to add to power. So and everything involved in that animal medicine, people go ahead and trade with that raccoon. It's really good. I also like to list
Awesome.
Awakening seems to be the big game behind all distractions. How many people wake up per day, and that evolving what the timeline becomes. So you can focus on that in meditation as well. And but the love thing for the cops that will do that, you can also do that in protection for the protests, so that because their minds are thinking of all these type of different things. They're having conversations, they're sharing. You can orientate that whole thing. And then the place of power, it seems to be 2 places for awakening energy that are wanting to be talked about publicly today. Utah, there's a place called the Pyramids West, which is kind of like a mountain. It kind of looks like a pyramid. And when I look on Google Earth, it does not have any pictures. So interesting. And then there's a thing, the Ouray, the Native American tribe reservation. There seems to be something big happening there with one of their sacred lands, and the amplification of their people that people can go towards, that will increase in this strategically in this time the amount of people wake up. So the Pyramids West mountain, you can energetically or send a dream body there, or whatever, where you initiate your higher self. Oh, can you please go to that mountain and work with it in trade and helping it to wake up more people. It'll emit more energy. It's actually recruiting people to be taught how to do this. And then the people that go to the mountain, learn how to emanate that energy so that the people around them wake up more. So like, whoa. Okay. I just got a big telepathic test message from the mountain. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it's responding to what I'm saying, and it's like a big buzz that like erupts in your ear cavity. That's like there's no wind. Anyway. Okay. You want me to share about? Something to do with an awakening to what love is. It's like subjects, like their awakening has to do with subjects, like what are you awakening to? And like lucidity, the blinders, what are they undoing for? Being able to perceive more, know more of truth. It has quite a bit that it offers in this. The amount it's that this, especially having to do with the blanket term of this reality is not what we're told it is, kind of permeating thought structure that like then seeds into anything that they already know about, that demonstrates that, and then brings that in reference for them to go forth and find those doors or rips in the veil and go forth. But yeah, there's a school there, and as you work with it, it'll influence and awaken you internally, like a percentage of how much you emanate awakening as well, and then that permeates to others. And you will be amplifying how much energy it uses to awaken people as a strategic chess move around the planet. Then yeah, so there's the two places in Utah. It might be somewhere else, but before it was like this spring in Colorado. It's like a geyser, I think geyser spring. And then yeah, that are allowing me to talk about them. So Pyramids West and the Ouray Reservation, something secret that you can just ask to send it there and go through their initiation processes, because they have a big spiritual fortress, and then do what you can to add to the place, and then you get learning in lots of types of awakening, a lot to do with spirit and journeying and finding more of your truth and who you are. And it's a lot of self stuff, a lot of things that they reflect in the tribe. It's like you're going to be emanating that, and then going forward. That doesn't mean that other people aren't good at this, and you can like learn from that too. But strategically, there's a place of power that's like empowering the crap out of them, that is asking for more spirits to show up and is able to handle it, and then we'll be amplifying it from there. That's what I'm sharing. Anything else you guys want to share to empower the protesters?
Can't think of anything else that they could put into that right now, but I definitely do that thing you were talking about, and also they can add the urine, they can add ancestral soups that can just help all this go along to like a better timeline and everything like that. So
For you, Lindsay. Thank you.
Yeah, all that stuff, that's all really good. And I think too, maybe adding like kind of what I was saying before, it might help to become clear too on exactly what it is that you want, and that you're obviously, protesting for, and to make sure too that you don't get sucked into like contracts and agreements that aren't yours. Like, obviously that they're always putting contracts and agreements on us, getting us stuck by getting us to say that we consent to something just because of the fact that they kind of pushed us to do certain actions, whether it's putting on a mask or, staying this far apart from someone, or, conforming because, like the place said that they would shut your business down if you didn't do these things a certain way. And then when you do them, then you kind of get stuck with these contracts and agreements that you agreed to, what they're doing. So I guess to get clear on what it is you actually agree to. And if you don't consent to certain things, state that out clearly, like maybe in front of a spiritual court of equity, or like your sacred space or whatever, that, and so that those things can't be used against you, and so that things don't get twisted while you're protesting, because every time obviously people are protesting, there's a lot of things chess moves that they throw in there to try to distract everyone and get chaos and cause, big stuff. So yeah, I guess maybe just make sure that you say what you don't consent to and what you do, so
What martial
you
arts
can achieve your goals.
What martial arts activities would you recommend to people to empower the protest from a distance? Because it's like a lot of actor, like space holding.
Like martial arts, like moves, or like just
stances,
aspects.
moves, and qigong. What would you recommend?
I mean, you could throw like, you know how like people make like psionic balls, like, you know, kind of like they had in like Street Fighter. You know, they used to throw the fireball. You know, if you make like you could make chi balls. You know, like psionic balls, and you could put your, you know, I guess your energy and your message and what you want to transform, and you can like do it, and then like, you know, with the move, like you're gonna strike, you could pull it your arm, you know, and let it go, or you could put it into your fist, you know, and make a punch, boom, you know, like while you're throwing that ball to the ball of energy to the protest, to like, you know, transform their hearts, or you know, like just drive out the darkness, you know, take out all the negative energy, kind of make like a sonic boom when it hits. You could do something like that, I think. But, you know, just use use whatever moves, you know, like.
That's a pretty good idea.
I think your mic cut out, Lindsay. Are you able to talk? Nope, it went out. Okay, interesting. Well, I think that something wants to silence you. Well, we're... Oh. Nope, can't hear you. Okay, well, I guess we're good here in the show. Anything else want to say? You can sign it, Lindsay.
We had a pretty good show. This was a good 2-hour show. Talked about a lot of stuff. I think we'll have an even better one next time. Get some more people in here. Talk about a whole bunch of other subjects. I'm sure there'll be plenty to talk about by then.
Right.
More craziness.
Thank you for joining us, Will and Lindsay, and you know, everyone in the tuning in. We love you all. Thank you so much for fighting the good fight and bringing love to places that lack it, to bring a new horizon with potential to the future that's way better than anyone else wants it to control into. And I have faith in everyone, and reach into your power, retake it back, retake your energy, retake your authority, revoke that crap that was projected on you to limit you. And as you make yourself more whole, that will empower everything else around you to get better, because as you're a reflection of everything. Believe in yourself.
Sean, great show, man. I look forward to the next one, brother.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye.
All right, bye.
Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to see more content like this, please show your love and subscribe to this channel for more content. Click that like button and share this video. The more people I see watching, the more I know what content people like. The more motivation I have to film and create. Mostly I'm doing this by myself, so the extra little push will definitely get me into action. And blast that notification bell to get the latest alerts on release. Comment your questions and possible future show ideas, what you think, below. I may end up answering those questions in the next show. Links are in the description if you want to contact me for more info, possible consultations, distant healing, massage, DNA programming, past life readings, and much, much more, as well as the services demonstrated in this video. Go to the psionicleague.com if you are interested in joining the league. Love you all so very much. Thank you for all your support.